What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response. I cover political news, and as you can tell, I'm not in my normal location. No, I'm here in Baton Rouge right now. My little puppy got viciously attacked by a bull terrier, had his jaw broken, 2 spots right here, had 5 teeth taken out, so we're over here in Baton Rouge having a surgery done to have his little jaw fixed. So send your prayers out for that, for a speedy recovery on that. But let's go ahead and get into some news right quick because Trump's winning all over the place, y'all. Check this out. Judge tosses some counts in Georgia election case against Trump and others. Yeah, and others, by the way. Let's get into it. The judge overseeing the Georgia election interference case against Donald Trump and others on Thursday tossed out 3 counts in the indictment, including 2 counts brought against the former president, saying that they lie beyond the state's jurisdiction, which they do. This should be federal cases, but they're not. The federal government chose not to go after him on these specific cases. That's something totally different. The Jack Smith garbage that has been put on hold and probably will be thrown out eventually because of presidential immunity that the Constitution says is constitutional, by the way. Let's keep going. The case against Trump and others who are appealing an order allowing Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis to continue prosecuting the case is on hold while that appeal is pending. But Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee issued orders Thursday based on motions filed by 2 defendants, Sean Steele and John Eastman, who are not part of that appeal, meaning the case against them is not paused. So those are going to go forward, essentially. In the Georgia case, one of 4 criminal prosecutions against the Republican presidential nominee, a grand jury in August 2023 returned a 41-count indictment against Trump and 18 others, accusing them of participating in a wide-ranging conspiracy to illegally try to overturn Trump's narrow loss in the 2020 presidential election in Georgia. 4 people pled guilty last year after reaching deals with prosecutors. You love how they say illegally, right? Like, so if you're running for president and your name is Donald Trump and you try to challenge the results of the election, in other words, if you find fraud and you want to bring it to court to have the courts adjudicate the fraud, you can't do that. That's illegal, by the way. That's ridiculous. It's one of the most ridiculous things about all these cases. They brought these to court to have them adjudicated by the court system. That's how you're supposed to do that. He could have tried to overthrow the government, but he didn't do that because he's the president of law and order. He wanted to do this the normal way, the correct way, through the court system, through the legal justice system. And they said, no, because you're Donald Trump, you can't do that. That's illegal. These people are insane, y'all. Outright insane. The judge in March had thrown out 6 counts of the indictment, a ruling that prosecutors are appealing. Yeah, of course they're going to appeal, but guess what? No go on those. Even with a total of 9 counts quashed, 32 counts remain, including an overreaching racketeering charge brought against all of the defendants. Yeah, that's overreaching. Yeah, they're trying to get him for racketeering, for bringing some fraud cases to courts to have them adjudicated. Yeah, get that. It's insane. How they get racketeering from that, I have no freaking clue. At issue in Thursday's ruling are 2 counts having to do with the filing of a document with the federal court in Atlanta that declared that Trump had won the state of Georgia, and 16 Republicans who signed the document were the duly elected qualified electors from the state. Now, what they're doing, they're misrepresenting this right here. That was in case he won those court cases. That was, you still have to do all the paperwork you would normally do when the electors go and get certified. You still would have to do all that paperwork. Like, nothing changes from that, right? So there's no difference whatsoever. So that's the paperwork, right? And it was, if he won the court cases, then yeah, they would go through and do that. But they didn't win the court cases. The court cases were thrown out. So no, that's not how that works. But they're trying to go after him anyway. This is all just insanity. But you know what? The corporate press, they love to lie to you. They love to leave little facts like that out. And that's what I'm here for, y'all. One of the counts charges 3 of those Republicans, including Steele, with filing false documents. The other charges Trump and others, including Eastman, with conspiracy to file false documents. McAfee wrote that punishing someone for filing certain documents with a federal court would enable a state to constrict the scope of materials assessed by a federal court and impair the administration of justice in that tribunal to police its own proceedings. He concluded that those 2 counts must be quashed as beyond the jurisdiction of the state. That is right. Once again, Fani Willis is trying to step outside of her legal authority and go after Donald Trump on some garbage. It's just outright garbage. They're misconstruing what's going on, like broadly misconstruing this, and it's just insane to watch all this unfold, y'all. The third count charges Trump and Eastman with filing false documents, saying they knowingly and unlawfully filed a lawsuit with the federal court in Atlanta while having reason to know that the document included at least one materially false statement about the 2020 election in Georgia. Insane, y'all. McAfee cited case law that says complainants filed in federal court fall within the scope of federal perjury statutes and said the charge must be quashed. Yeah, so the judge is looking into this and seeing, hey, what's going on here? Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. Stepping outside of state authority. Yeah, these people are insane, y'all. Buddy Parker, a lawyer for Eastman, in an email applauded McAfee's ruling. Steve Sadow, Trump's lead attorney, also celebrated the dismissal of 2 charges against the former president, saying in an email that Trump and his Georgia legal team have prevailed once again, and they're going to continue to prevail, y'all, because these cases are garbage. They're trying to twist the law and go after them on some stuff that you can't do that, right? Like, the judges are going to see this and they're going to throw it out. Like, most of this is going to be turned over on appeal. Like, some of this stuff probably won't even go to court. Lawyers for Eastman, Steele, and other defendants have argued that the Republicans who acted as electors for Trump were within their rights and were acting as provided for by Federal Electoral Count Act. McAfee wrote that that statute is intended to govern the counting of electoral votes by Congress, and that the state's prosecution is not barred because it doesn't impair that vote counting. While the Trump electors may have believed their actions were legal, that is a matter for a trial and not for pretrial motion, the judge wrote. Yeah, I think he's right about that. I think he's totally right about that. It sounds logical. The logic seems to work out. So, yeah, we'll see. Once again, like I said, but they're trying to use novel ideas to go after Donald Trump. This is all just really, really crazy and insane, and I have an audience, y'all. In a separate order, Thursday, McAfee rejected Eastman and Steele's attempt to dismiss the broad racketeering count in the indictment. That count is supported by 161 alleged acts that defendants are accused of engaging in to accomplish a goal of challenging Trump's electoral loss. Now, I would love to know, this is something that I've tried to research, the actions that they were just now talking about, the 161 actions, what was it, the alleged acts or whatever. I've tried to look into this case to see specifics on this. You can't find the specifics. It's really, really hard to look up some of this stuff, and I've tried and can't find. I would really love to know what those specifics are, because that's pertinent knowledge to form an opinion on this, right? Because you want to know all of the details, right? Like, I'm forming my opinion based off of what I've heard and what I've researched, and I don't have all the information, right? Like, it's insane that the public can't get all this information, because we need all this information. If some of this information came out and it was bad on Trump and his team, that might change my opinion. Totally. But as far as we know and what we know from what is public record, I don't know that this case is going to be settled in favor of the prosecution. I can't see it right now. But like I said, I would need to know everything. But we don't have all that information, so we can't get all that information, and that really, really bugs me. It bugs me a lot. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled in July that former presidents have absolute immunity from prosecution for official acts that fall within their exclusive sphere of constitutional authority and are presumptively entitled to immunity for all official acts. Now, that's interesting. We've talked about this a little bit before, the presumptive immunity, right? Like, that pretty much means that, yeah, we're going to look at everything he does and see that, yeah, that's going to have immunity. Anything that might be criminal. Now, what that also means, though, that once again, if the president of the United States just walks out in the middle of the street, pulls out a gun and shoots somebody, you know, you're not presumptively immune for that. I mean, that's blatant murder, right? So that's going to be something that's going to have to be adjudicated in the court system, right? Like, a lot of these cases, they're put on hold simply because of that, because they're going to have to go to court and they're going to have to adjudicate and see, were these official acts by the President of the United States, and did these acts fall within constitutional authority? And that's very, very important. All these cases against Trump hinge upon that for the most part, right? Because they're going after him on garbage, and we know that the judges are very partisan. The prosecutors are obviously very, very partisan, and they don't care. Don't care type of situation going on. But the presidential immunity thing, that's key to this, I believe, and I think that's going to get Trump out of a lot of this. Let's keep going, though. McAfee noted that his rulings do not take that into account because those issues have not yet been fully briefed or argued by the parties in the case before him. Right, so like I just explained, they're going to have to go through the lower court system and adjudicate what official acts actually entail. And I think most of this is going to be official acts, seriously, because think about how that's supposed to work. Okay, the president is presiding over the federal government. He's supposed to uphold the Constitution, conduct, foreign policy, blah, 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 yada, yada. You get it, right? So I think that fraud in an election would fall under the DOJ, which falls under the president. So I think that trying to file these court cases and go after fraud in the election, yeah, that's going to fall under constitutional authority for sure, right? Like any judge that looks at that and says, no, that's not an official act, is going to be insane, highly partisan, and it'll probably be turned over upon appeal, because that's insane. That obviously falls under the Constitution. We don't want fraud in our elections. And yeah, that's what the president is supposed to be in charge of. The federal government, the DOJ, investigating crimes, in other words. So, yeah, it's all a bunch of garbage, and I just wanted to give you guys that update on this. I think this is great news for Trump. I think we're going to see more of this. We're going to see a lot more of this. These certain charges getting dropped all over the damn place, stuff being appealed, getting turned over on appeal, and these cases are just going to slowly dissolve away. I mean, we've already seen the documents case go away completely. That one's gone. They're trying to appeal that ruling, but yeah, that's going to be a tough one to win for the prosecution, because yeah, she found some impropriety there, a lot of impropriety. And when they look at the scope of everything that was done, not just why Jack Smith was unconstitutionally authorized to go after Donald Trump, right? But the misappropriations and then all the malfeasance conducted by Jack Smith. Yeah, I think once an appeals judge looks at all that, she's going to be like, no, this is crazy. Yeah, dismiss this outright because it's garbage. And like I said, the other ones against Trump, like the January 6th stuff, is just ridiculous. Like, I'm surprised they brought that case. It's such stupidity, because there's obvious statements there that Trump said be peaceful. Don't go, don't attack the Capitol. He didn't want that. There's obviously no logic behind Trump getting a bunch of bumbling idiots to go to the Capitol and fight with cops. I mean, what are you gonna resolve by doing that? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So that's a bunch of garbage. Be turned over upon appeal. Obviously, probably won't even go to court, so that'll get dropped. And the fake elector stuff is just really, really novel. And I want to see a lot of the outcomes on this, because I'm curious about how all this is going to play out. It's going to play out crazily, I think, and we're going to see it firsthand. But
That's all I got for this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Do y'all think that these cases are straight up and should be brought to trial? Do y'all want to see this stuff adjudicated so we can know for future reference? Or do you think this is just a bunch of garbage and should be thrown out? Or do you possibly think that, yeah, Trump should be in jail? Let me know what you think. That's all I got. Want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all pray for the pup. And have a good day. Peace.